All right, time now for All Things Gators, All Things Orange and Blue. Dan Hicken and Frank Frangie. What's up, Hick?
That's a W, Frank.
I'll take W's.
It's a W.
W's are W's, right? We'll take them.
How you doing, man?
Thank you, doing great.
Thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, se-ortho.com for all your orthopedic needs. Look, we lost 6 SEC games in a row, so you got to start somewhere, and much better to win than to lose and try to build off that. You got the 4 wins. None of us think that they're going to, win 9 or 10 this year.
Right.
So, let's take the dub and see if we can sneak one by LSU.
Yeah. We said 7 wins before the season, give or take 7 or 8. That's what they are. They got to scramble to try and get to 7 now, but I will take the win. A lot of thoughts about this game. Let me start with the good. How good is Ventrell Miller?
Wow.
I mean, he's shot out of a cannon, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he is shot out of a cannon. He is so much the best player on that defense. And they're 4-2. I wonder what they'd be like if they didn't have him, because when they didn't have him, they weren't very good.
Well, we should have mad respect for him too, because he's basically playing on a broken foot. He's got to
really is.
He's taking shots. He's rehabbing. He is doing everything he can to play football. NFL teams, we told you about Dameon Pierce.
Right.
Get a look at Ventrell Miller.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a great. By the way, if Dameon Pierce got the ball 20 times a game, Dan Mullen will still be the coach at Florida. We've said that enough times.
Yes.
Well, Ventrell Miller's a good-looking player. So look, and I thought Jaden Hill's return, I don't think it was an accident that he had those 2 picks. He's a good player.
Yep.
My friend Shane Matthews, who I trust his judgment a lot, the color commentator on the Gator broadcast, really believes those young corners are pretty good.
Yeah.
That Hill and Marshall and that Helm they're pretty good players at corner. The problem is after cornerback and linebacker, there's not much there. But I thought they played hard defensively. They're just not very good.
Right.
I mean, I don't think 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18, 3rd and 22, which are disastrous.
Oh.
I don't think Patrick Toney's got a bad plan. I don't think anyone's dogging it. I just think and I'm not smart enough to know, Dan, whether they didn't recruit enough good players or whether they didn't do a good enough job developing them. But the defense just isn't very good. I mean, the reality is it's just not a very good group over there.
There's some good players, like you said. Ventrell Miller, Marshall's a 5-star, right? We got a couple young guys who are gonna, get playing time, but look a little thin up front, obviously. And you know what? And it's hard to say. I'll say they played better.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they gave up 10 points. Again, it's Missouri, but
that's right.
And the bad taste in your mouth is what you just mentioned. 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18, 3rd and 20. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, how do these things happen? But they did. And so on the defensive side of the ball, in the end, Missouri didn't score a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? That's right. And found a way to win the game.
Yeah.
They're a middle of the pack SEC team, and they won a middle of the pack SEC game.
Yeah.
So let's get to the offense for a second. Let me ask you this question.
Please do.
Do you get the sense Anthony Richardson doesn't want to run? Am I reading too much into that?
It's a great question.
I don't think I'm watching these. I'm watching.
You're saying he's not a willing runner.
Yeah. Well, whether it's because he's been told not to, whether he's injured, whether it's just not his thing. I'm watching Hendon Hooker. I'm watching Jalen Hurts in the NFL. I'm watching Kyler Murray a little bit yesterday in the NFL. I'm watching Jordan Travis for FSU. Those guys look like they want to take off and run. I'm back at Tebow and Johnny Manziel when they were good running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They look like they couldn't wait to run.
Right.
Anthony looks like to me he's really trying not to run. Now, I mean, one of the biggest plays of the game was his long run.
Yeah.
But
there's a certain toughness is not a fair word, because you're playing an SEC football. You're a big kid. You're tough.
Right.
But because we talked about this after the Tennessee game. We watched how Hooker ran and dove and fought and scratched and clawed. We don't see a lot of that. I don't know if that's been ingrained in him. I know he's beat up. I know he goes in the injury tent a lot. There's something not clicking with his running ability, because he has that running ability. And if Florida is going to, I'll say this, if Florida's going to beat LSU, he's got to run.
Correct.
They won't beat him if he does what he did against Missouri. They ain't beating him.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I'm not going to say Anthony Richardson is not tough. I don't know him. He seems like a wonderful kid, and I hope he does great. But whether he's been told, hey, you got to win from the pocket, whether he is hurt and he's not telling anybody, which he really is a tough guy. Whatever it is, he doesn't look like. the running quarterback. Tim Tebow couldn't wait to run.
Right.
Cam Newton couldn't wait to run.
Right.
I'm watching Hendon Hooker can't wait to take off and run.
Right.
Even though he's a good passer too, and it just doesn't look like Anthony wants.
That's fair.
Because him running is the best thing about that offense. Because when he's in the open field, 6'4", 240, and running that 4.3 is amazing. But you got to want to do it, and I think that's part of it. The other thing too is, for whatever reason, that you can't count on them getting into a passing rhythm. He completed 8 passes, and 2 on the first series. The first play of the game was a pass.
How can you throw, Frank? I've never seen anything like this. Yeah. I mean, like this. How can you throw for 400 and what was it, 35 yards one week and 68? How is that possible?
And what I don't know is, what does Billy Napier want of him? Do they look like the offense looks the same every week? A lot of motion.
Yeah.
It's either shotgun or pistol, and they may shift into shotgun from pistol. It's a lot of motion. It's a lot of bunch formation. It's a lot of NFL look, but it's very conventional. There's nothing that grabs you. I think that there's not a lot of tempo. Every now and then they'll do that, but there's just, I don't know what they want. I can tell you. And so I got thinking about this. All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, Saban and Dabo and Kirby Smart and even Ohio State, they're not winning with fancy offense. They're not winning with X's and O's.
No.
You know what their offense? Let me give you their offense and defensive schemes called. It's called 5-star. Okay. The best teams in college football: Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama. They win because they have better players than everybody else.
All right.
So, but I'm watching their offenses. They're not fancy. All right.
Okay.
Tennessee's winning with X's and O's. They're winning because their offense is faster and keeps people the way Spurrier won in the 90s. All right. So maybe Billy's thinking, I'm going to build what Saban built, and what Kirby built, and what Dabo built.
Clearly, he's trying to do that, Frank.
Yes,
and let me ask you a question. End of the half clock, or with the timeout. What do you make of that?
I'm trying to remember now. What was catch me?
Florida calls the timeout to let Missouri line up and kick a field goal.
Yeah, I think. Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He said afterwards he had the wrong guys on the field.
Yeah, well,
but if they're kicking a field goal anyway, why not just go ahead and go with it? I agree with you. Yeah, and again, I haven't seen anything about Billy Napier that tells me he's not a good game day coach. Nor have I seen anything that tells me, wow, he's a great game day coach.
Correct.
I think he's right. I think he's a middle of the pack. I haven't seen much. I think they're organized. I think they're detailed. 1 penalty for 5 yards the entire game. So certainly they're disciplined.
That was
very
much
matters.
positive. And the running back situation maybe finally starting to sort out. Maybe you'll be a little happy about that, Frank Frangie.
Because truthfully, he is right. He's not playing 5 as much as he is 2 and 7.
Right.
So he's trying, but so here's what I think. I think Anthony's holding, and he doesn't mean to be, and I'm not being critical of a Florida player, but it is my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I think whatever it is about AR is holding them back. Yeah. Whether he doesn't want to run, whether he's just too many fastballs and missing open guys, maybe he's not seeing guys. But in this day and age, I mean, I'm watching Mississippi State, and I'm watching Ole Miss, and I'm watching Kentucky before the guy got hurt, and I'm watching all these, and everybody's got a really efficient passing game, and Florida clearly does not.
And bro, listen, this LSU game, don't be fooled by LSU getting waxed by Tennessee, and we play close with Tennessee, and therefore we're going to beat LSU. Hang on, just hang on. You and I both know it's going to be a close game.
No
and
question.
Anthony Richardson is going to be the difference one way or the other. If Anthony Richardson plays like he did against Kentucky or Missouri or USF, Florida will not win that football game. If Anthony 100%. Richardson plays like he did against Utah on a Saturday night in the swamp, like this Saturday night, Florida will win that football game, in my opinion.
100% agree. He's got to play. He's got to play with a reckless abandon.
Yes.
You know what would give me confidence? If on the third play of the game he ran for 30 yards.
Yes.
That means he's into the running. He's
yes.
into the flow.
I like that call.
Even the long run against Eastern Washington on the second series.
Yeah.
It was easy for him.
Yeah.
He's making.
It was like him playing against a high school team.
And then he kind of stepped out of bounds because he wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost would have. I know they say what you quarterback not to get hit. I think at the end of that Eastern Washington run, in retrospect, I wouldn't have minded him lowering the shoulder and plowing for about another 10. Getting hit and getting into the flow. A lot of guys like to get hit and get in the flow. He doesn't seem like that. Well, and again, we don't know the whole story, and I get it. And he does seem to go into that 10 a great deal and get nicked up a great deal. And that's unfortunate because
The best stability is availability.
Was there a little part of you? I don't ever want to see the kid.
No.
Was there a little part of you that if he struggled at all, wouldn't have minded seeing one series with Kitna?
No. And some of you, and there was talk of that, obviously, during the game.
And I want Richardson to be the quarterback. Don't misread me. He's the guy. They got to win with him.
Yeah.
But there was a side of me that said, I would if they get ahead one series. He seems
the confidence is shaky.
Yes.
And I worry that if you took him out, who knows what's going to happen? Right. Maybe he shuts down totally. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So now let's look ahead to LSU in the season. They're 4-2.
Yeah.
There's maybe Vanderbilt, but there's no easy ones. All right.
No.
I mean, I watched South Carolina against Kentucky. That was not going to be easy.
Nope.
Florida State's on the road at night. Nope. That's not going to be easy.
Nope.
The A&M.
There's 4 coin flip games, Frank, in Georgia.
Yeah.
4 coin flip games in Georgia. And coin flip would say, look, we'll be underdogs in some of those coin flip games, but they're coin flip games, right? We could win any of those 4. Is that fair to say?
It is. If
you go 2-2 and beat Vandy, you're 7-5.
Yeah, and I will tell you this: it really has to start with this week. If you can win this week, if you're 5-2, despite all of it, if you're 5, you're not going to beat Georgia. We know that,
right?
But if you can get to the break at 5-2,
right?
Well, then you know what? Then I think you go into the Georgia week with a little more confidence.
Sure.
Then all of a sudden, I wouldn't you love to win today or win this week?
Yes.
And then wouldn't you love to tell right now if I could tell you could split Georgia and Texas A&M? Would you take that right now?
Right now.
Right now, you take it.
Right now.
So then you're 6-3, and who knows how the season ends?
Yeah.
So
good point. Because if you are 6-3, who's to say you couldn't win those last 3? That's a fair question, but it's not going to happen that way, Frank.
All right, so let's move forward. Well, let's do this. Let's hope they win this week. So before we wrap, Keys this week, got to get him running a little bit.
Yeah.
Got to have some early success offensively.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. LSU is a physical team. You can't let them run it down your throat.
Stop the run. And by the way,
it's critically
remind me, how did we do with that last year?
Yeah. Against LSU. Whoever, I don't even know. Here's how bad it was against LSU. I don't even remember the guy's name. Okay. But he rushed about 300 yards. Remember that guy?
Yes, he did.
They just kept giving it to him at a 10-yard
play. Same play.
Do you remember his name?
No.
That's how bad it is. I don't know his name. So he was going crazy. So let's hope it happens. Let's hope the Gators can get this thing turned around. Big game this week if they can beat LSU. That's All Things Gators, All Things Orange and Blue. Dan Hicken, Frank Frangie.
And thank you, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, best in business. Any orthopedic needs, sc-ortho.com. Frank, have a great week.
You too, Hick. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thanks.